Am I the asshole for asking my wife if I can have one night a week to myself, and she called it selfish? So I, 37M, and here's what happened. My wife Cleo and I have been together for about 10 years now, and we're trying to start a family. We've been having some issues with our finances lately, and I was feeling really overwhelmed with work and household responsibilities. I think it's fair to say that my stress levels were through the roof. I sat down with Cleo one evening and told her that I needed a night a week where I could do whatever I wanted without being disturbed or questioned about it. I didn't specify what that meant, but I hoped she'd understand that it was just something I needed to recharge. I mentioned that maybe I could watch some TV alone, go for a run, or read a book, anything that would give me some time to myself. Cleo seemed taken aback by my request, and at first, I thought she was going to be cool with it. But then she said something that really got under my skin. You're always doing this, Callum. You're always asking for more time to yourself, more space from me. It feels like you don't want to spend time with me anymore. Now, I know I haven't abandoned her or stopped wanting to spend time with her, but at the same time, I do need some space sometimes. I tried to explain to her that this wasn't about not wanting to spend time with her, and that it was just a way for me to relax. But she kept going on about how selfish I was being. She said something like, "You're 37 years old, Callum, you should be settled down by now. You can't just keep asking for more time to yourself." It stung, because I feel like that's not fair. I'm starting to wonder if I was too blunt or if Cleo is just not willing to listen to me when I need something. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for leaving my job without notice because of how I was being treated by my manager? So I left my job as a marketing specialist at a small firm without giving 2 weeks' notice, which is something I'm supposed to do according to our company's policy. My last paycheck included $2,500 in unpaid wages, which I later found out about when the new boss asked me why I was leaving. I had been working there for 3 years and had consistently delivered high-quality work, but over the past 6 months, things took a turn for the worse. The problem started when our manager, Luca, began to micromanage my projects and question my ability to manage my own workload. He also repeatedly criticized my ideas and told me that I wasn't thinking outside the box enough. When I tried to discuss these issues with him, he would get defensive and dismissive. I felt like I was being undervalued and disrespected. One day, Luca called me into his office and said, "Grayson, you're not a good fit for this company. You need to find something that's more stable." He then proceeded to tell me about the high turnover rate at our firm and how I was lucky to have made it as long as I had. This comment stung, but what really sealed my decision to leave was when he told me that if I left, my references would suffer because of my reputation for being difficult to work with. I know that leaving without notice isn't ideal, and I may have burned some bridges. But I felt like I had no other choice after 3 years of consistently good work in dealing with Luca's toxic behavior. When the new boss asked me why I was leaving, I told him that it was because of Luca's treatment of me, but he just shrugged and said that's not something you can put on your resume. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for cutting off my best friend Sawyer after finding out he was talking to my ex Aaron behind my back? So I, 22M, and here's what happened. Me and Sawyer have been inseparable since high school. We're like two peas in a pod. We've had our fair share of hangovers, bad decisions, and all-nighters, but that's just part of the deal when you're 22. Anyway, I recently got back into Aaron after a pretty messy breakup with her last year. She's an amazing person, and I was hoping we could rekindle something, but Sawyer had other plans. I found out about this by accident, actually. We were all hanging out at Dorian's house one night, having a few beers and watching the game. Aaron was there too, and she was being super friendly with Sawyer, laughing at his jokes and stuff. I didn't think much of it at first, but then I overheard them talking about how we should hang out again soon. My brain just clicked into wait a minute, what's going on here? So I made up an excuse to leave the room and stepped outside for some fresh air. I texted Sawyer after that, asking him if he was still speaking with Aaron. He basically told me she's his girlfriend now and that we should move on. That was it. I couldn't even try to have a conversation about it because he just wasn't willing to listen. So I blocked his number, sent Aaron a group text telling her what went down, and I've been avoiding both of them ever since. The thing is, Sawyer's always been my ride or die, but this time I feel like he crossed a line. He's got no problem talking to me about our shared problems, but as soon as it comes to Aaron, suddenly his eyes go dark and he doesn't want anything to do with it. I get why he'd want to move on, but what really gets my blood boiling is that he didn't even have the decency to talk to me about it first. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for calling out my neighbor, Callum, for making a scene over nothing? So I'm 32M and here's what happened. It was a beautiful Saturday morning when I decided to fire up the grill and cook some burgers. As I was flipping the patties, I noticed Hudson, our family dog, sauntering into my yard through an open gate. Now, Hudson isn't exactly great with boundaries. He's been known to wander off whenever he feels like it. At first, I just let him out there to enjoy himself. He sniffed around a bit and then settled in for a nap. But Callum, who lives across the fence from me, started yelling through the gate that Hudson was on my property. I told him not to worry about it, said he was just having a little adventure. But Callum got worked up and started demanding that I come over and take Hudson back. When I refused, Callum threatened to call animal control and have me evicted from my own house because I was coddling the dog. He even went so far as to say that I must be a sociopath for not immediately returning Hudson. Meanwhile, Keely, Callum's wife, chimed in over the phone, saying that I should be ashamed of myself and that she wouldn't even want her own dog to come near me. I tried to explain to them that Hudson had just wandered into my yard and wasn't trying to cause any trouble, but they wouldn't listen. Now Callum is accusing me of lying about what happened. He says I made the whole thing up to get back at him for some perceived slight. It's ridiculous, in my opinion. I've lived next door to these people for years without any issues, and now they're acting like I'm some kind of monster just because Hudson had a little slip-up. Am I the asshole?